So a controversial new law just passed in California that's supposed to help create some affordable housing throughout the state and at the same time help current and future homeowners possibly gain hundreds of thousands of dollars. And on this episode, we're going to go over all the current information known about this law. So if this is your first time tuning into this show, hi, I'm Josh Alexander, your local Orange County real estate agent as well as host of Orange County Housing Market News, your one-stop shop for all things Orange County real estate. So if you're thinking of buying or selling a home, make sure you hit that subscribe button because I put out new content every single week with different tricks and tips as well as market updates so you know exactly what to expect and how to win in today's market. So like I said, on today's episode, we're going to be going into all the details about AB 1033, talk about some of the pros, the cons, and who this might benefit most. So let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so to briefly summarize this new law, AB 1033, it's meant to give some financial incentives to current or future homeowners to build an ADU on their property, creating some more affordable housing in the neighborhood. So what it basically does is it changes the way ADUs can be used on a property. So right now in California, there's two ways you can usually use them. So number one is personal use. So you can build it. If you have in-laws coming over, they can stay there, have their own separate space. Or if you have an office space over there you want separated from your current house, you can do that as well. The other way you can use it right now is as a rental. So build it, rent it out, have some additional income coming in every single month. That helps offset your mortgage cost or just gives you a couple extra thousand in cash coming in every month that you can use however you want to. This new law is creating a third category, and what it's basically allowing you to do is build an ADU and then sell it as a condo. So you're selling it if it's a 2-bed, 1-bath ADU, you're selling it as a 2-bed, 1-bath condo, which could be financially very beneficial because the amount it costs to build an ADU versus what it could sell for in Orange County especially could be significantly different. It might cost $200,000, maybe $300,000 to build a very nice ADU within Orange County, but if you can sell that same property for $450,000, $500,000, $600,000 depending on your neighborhood, that could be a significant chunk of cash that you're able to take advantage of by using it as a condo versus having an ADU and renting it out. Now, this might seem like a crazy idea, but in reality, there's a lot of areas around the United States that have already been doing this for years now and have seen a lot of positive results. Some of those are going to be Oregon, Texas, as well as Seattle. Okay, so let's go over everything we currently know about this law, and it's just coming out, so more information and more details I'm sure will come in the following months and years, but let's at least go over everything we know as of right now. So first and foremost, this is not a state mandate. So unlike other laws in the past where cities were required to implement it, this is going to be, at least to start out with, an opt-in type of program where not every city has to do it. So this is not something that's going to flip a switch and then all of a sudden you're going to see this happen everywhere. It's something that's going to take time to build up because cities are going to have to authorize it, come up with their own rules and regulations around it before you can really start seeing this tick up at all. Now that being said, I do think a lot of cities will eventually take advantage of this law, and the main reason is because although this is not mandated, there are mandates on how many affordable housing units need to be built within each city, and this is one tool the cities can use to help reach those numbers without having to rely on developers coming in and building tracts of homes around the areas and trying to squeeze them in different places. So one of the benefits of this is it basically takes the money out of the developer's hands and puts it into the individual homeowner's hands. They're able to create the inventory and then capitalize on the profits from it within their own community versus having big developers come in and making all the money. So probably the most interesting rule about this whole program to me is that because you're selling it as a condo and it's on your property, they're basically going to make you form an HOA for that property. So any common areas you have, any rules and regulations need to be outlined, as well as possibly HOA dues. If there's common areas that need to be maintained jointly, then you might have to collect HOA dues to make sure those areas are taken care of. Now, HOA dues may vary depending on what type of ADU it is. For instance, if it's an attached ADU, so if you did a garage conversion, HOA dues might be a little bit more expensive because you're sharing a roof line, which means if something happens to the roof, it needs to be replaced, then it has to be jointly done because you have the same roof. However, if it's a separate ADU that has its own roof, then maybe HOA dues are going to be a little bit less expensive. So it is going to be a hoop that you have to jump through and basically figure out how to create this HOA, which could be one of the main hang-up points for people wanting to utilize this. Now, in terms of actually building the ADU, it's probably going to look very similar to building an ADU right now, where you're going to have to go through the city, get the right permits, hire the right engineers, and go through the whole process of building the ADU. Now, that has been streamlined over the last couple of years with other bills that California has passed, but it is something that you're going to have to go through either way. And then lastly, because this is creating at least two different owners within the same property, you both will have separate tax bills. So that's something to know before you go into the process as well. So because this bill is so new and there really hasn't been any implementation of this yet, that's really all the information we have as of right now. But let's go ahead and go over some of the possible pros and the cons of this new bill. So the first and probably most obvious pro of this new bill is that current and future homeowners who build ADUs are going to have a way to be able to make hundreds of thousands of dollars in a relatively quick period by building an ADU and then selling it off as a condo. Right now, in terms of construction costs, a lot of ADUs in Orange County probably range from around $200,000 to $300,000 to build a decent ADU. And if you're looking at the prices of a 2-bed, 1-bath condo in Orange County, in most areas, you're going to be paying significantly more than that, looking in the $500,000–$600,000 range often. So you can see, depending on the area of Orange County, that there could be a pretty good profit margin on doing something like this on the property. So the second pro of this bill is there's a lot less hoops to jump through with this bill compared to the last major ADU bill that passed, which was SB 9. So if you haven't heard of that bill or don't know what it is, if you want all the information on that, click right up here if you're watching this on YouTube, or you can search my channel for SB 9 and that will give you everything you need to know. But for today's purpose, all you really need to know about SB 9 is that it basically split the lot into two different lots, which cost a lot more and it took a lot more time to do. And there's just a lot more hoops to jump through to do that versus just building an ADU and then selling it as a condo. So this basically streamlined the process of getting that ADU and then being able to sell it. Now the third pro is this is just one of the major reform that's been happening around ADUs over the last couple years. And so some of the other ones that are making this even more affordable and even more enticing is that just recently FHA has updated their guidelines to basically allow for construction loans to help you build an ADU. So that means that when someone's trying to purchase their primary residence, if there's enough space to build an ADU, they can often finance part or all of that ADU construction within the original loan. And so that way it's no money out of your pocket to be able to build that ADU. And on top of that, the state programs out there offering up to $40,000 in grants to help build ADUs is still out there and will be coming back next year. So there's a lot of incentives to help reduce the cost of building ADUs, which again could further increase your profit margin as well as require a lot less capital up front to be able to build these ADUs. Now, to qualify to purchase a home that might already have an ADU or one that you're planning on building, they've also updated FHA guidelines to help you take into account some of the rent that you're either already getting from an ADU or that you could be getting from an ADU that was built on the property to help you qualify for a mortgage. So there's a lot of reform going on right now throughout the United States as well as California to really help encourage people to help build these ADUs to increase the affordable housing supply. Because as everybody knows in California, we have a housing problem. There's just not enough homes to go around, which is driving up the cost of housing and basically pricing out almost all of first-time home buyers right now. Now let's go ahead and look at the con side. So the first con that I can think of is that, like I said before, you have to form an HOA, which means that you have to get an understanding of what an HOA is, look at all the legal guidelines in terms of forming an HOA, and making sure that you stay within those guidelines while you own the property and have that condo on your property as well. So that could be something that's really going to prevent a lot of people from wanting to take that step. Now, I do think that if this law does become popular, there'll probably be plenty of companies out there that will help you set up an HOA, give you everything you need to be able to understand the process to make it a lot easier. But in the beginning, there'll probably be a lot of confusion around what you exactly need to do to actually set up an HOA and do it legally, so that way you don't have any issues later on. Now, as a real estate agent, the second con that kind of immediately came to my head is resale value. So if you have a property, you buy it as a single family residence, and then you build an ADU on it, you sell off a portion of that, you open up an HOA. Now when you go to sell that property, you have that property with an HOA on it, with someone in a condo, technically on your land. So it could be a very difficult process to find the right type of buyer to purchase your home later on, because there's not really a big value for the next buyer to have that condo on their property. They're not getting monthly income like a regular ADU if they're on their property renting it. That property was already sold. The current owner already got the benefit of the sale. So for a future buyer, the benefits really aren't there to having a condo on your lot when you really aren't getting any financial financial incentives for having that condo there in the first place. So that's definitely something you're going to want to think of in terms of long-term value of your home, because it will be a little bit harder to find the right buyer for your house. Okay, so based on the information we have right now, who might benefit the most from these type of programs? So let's go over them. So number one is baby boomers. So there's a lot of baby boomers right now that have had their mortgage paid off. They don't want to move because of capital gains tax, or they like the area. However, they could use some cash to help out with retirement. This could be a great option for them to be able to build an ADU, sell it, and possibly get $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 of cash to be able to use to help out with retirement. And if they're not really utilizing their backyard space anymore, having kids run around, things like that, then it's really not going to be that big of a deal for them to split their lot a little bit and have it dedicated to a condo. On top of that, some baby boomers, again, might want to stay in their neighborhood, but the house they currently have is just too big, too much to take care of, so it might be beneficial for them to take the ADU, move into the ADU themselves, and then sell their primary residence, but that way they stay in their neighborhood, they stay where they want to be, but again, now they have that giant chunk of cash that they have access to be able to use in their retirement while they downsize at the same time and stay in the neighborhood that maybe they really want to be in. Now, a third group of people that could really benefit from this is someone that buys a house, builds an ADU, and then uses it as a rental property instead while they live there. So they're getting in some rental income every single month, again, helping to offset that mortgage cost. However, when they decide they want to move, they can actually now convert that to the condo and then sell 2 properties instead of 1, cash out, have a lot more money to be able to take on to the next home, and possibly buy their dream home a lot easier with a lot lower mortgage payments, because they're making a lot more money because they're effectively selling 2 homes instead of 1. Now, the last group of people that could benefit from this, and I almost hate to bring this up because from past experience, I know it's going to be a hot button topic, but it's investors. So if you look at this through an investor standpoint, if I could purchase a property and then build an ADU on it and then sell it as 2 separate properties, or possibly even 3, this could possibly be a good opportunity for people that would like to make some money in the real estate industry to go ahead, purchase a property, maybe 2, and then create those ADUs on them and then sell them separately as condos, form that HOA, because right now, in contrast to the way SB 9 worked, I don't see any information saying that the person that's splitting these properties and selling them has to be living at the property themselves. So the way SB 9 worked is you had to be living in one of the properties in order to divide the lots and be able to utilize it that way. However, in this law, at least from the information I'm seeing so far, and it could change, there's no restriction saying that someone has to live at the property in order to be able to sell the other homes off as condos. So again, I know from past experience, and I'm probably going to get a lot of comments from this part of the video saying that I don't want investors coming in, buying all these homes, putting more homes in, and then all of a sudden my neighborhood is packed with cars, packed with people. I don't want that. Well, really the only thing I can say to really help with that is that there was a lot of that same fear going around when SB 9 first passed, and right now, you can leave it in the comments, but tell me, have you been personally affected by SB 9? Someone coming in, buying a property, splitting it up, and making more homes in your neighborhood and making it crowded? For the most part, people don't even know that law exists right now because it's been so underutilized. In fact, throughout Orange County, there's only been about 1,000 ADUs built per year, and compare that to some place like Los Angeles County, when you're looking at almost 10,000 units, we're not really seeing that many units within Orange County building ADUs. So yes, there might be a chance that someone buys a property in your neighborhood and converts it and has 1 extra home, maybe 2. However, don't expect to see this on every other sale happening around the neighborhood. It's just not feasible for most people, because remember, you still need the capital in most cases to be able to build those ADUs before you sell them, and a lot of people just don't have $200,000, $300,000 laying around or want to go get a loan for it, so it's not something that everybody's going to do. So the impact of this, I think, is going to be a net positive. There'll be a little bit more affordable housing throughout the different neighborhoods within California, within Orange County. But is it going to solve the affordability crisis? No. Is it going to solve the inventory issues we have in Orange County? No. But it is a helpful step to slowly get a little bit more inventory on the market, especially in the lower price points, to help out those first-time buyers as well as those low-income earners get into a home and be able to own a piece of real estate within Orange County. So based on the information so far, and again, we should see a lot more information start rolling in as cities start implementing this and people actually go through the process, but that's probably realistically still still a year or two away. But right now, what do you think of this? Do you think this is a net positive, a net negative? Are you for this, against this? Leave any comment you want about this and what you think of it in the comments below. I'd love to hear your opinion on it. And remember, if you find this information useful, or if you want to stay updated on what's going on throughout Orange County, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And until next week, stay healthy, stay happy, and I'll see you on the next show. Bye, everybody.